Let's go!
So upon completion of the game on hard mode, some of the things that I found to be a little troublesome gameplay-wise became very apparent. I actually think the biggest gripe I have with the game, in terms of like gameplay, is no joke, air combat. Air combat is legit not good. The problem is air combat doesn't come with options. It affects the camera, makes the camera issues really bad, and the camera issues can be kind of bad sometimes on the ground, but it's not the worst thing ever. Camera issues are always a thing in action games. But air combat has a problem. It's only one option. You pretty much just mash square, and then you can get more damage with it on certain weapons, but that's about it. And that's the big issue. Like, Barrett has the best air combat in the game. Why? Because he doesn't jump. Barrett doesn't leap his ass around and start jumping and shit. So I don't mind air combat with Barrett because you're shooting guys out of the air. However, I feel that air combat in the next game has a very, very good chance of being completely alleviated by certain characters that might excel at aerial combat, that might actually have multiple options at aerial combat. The two characters that I can absolutely say are probably going to be the ones that'll be exemplary of that. It's not Kate Sith, it's not Red 13. I think it's going to be Vincent and Yuffie. Yuffie's a very mobile and agile ninja, and then Vincent's all about guns and everything like that and shooting stuff out of the sky. So I really think that instead of just making every character do air combat, how about make only some characters be really good at it? This is going to start to root into some issues of the original Final Fantasy VII and this one, but not so much. The issues of the original Final Fantasy VII is that you have a lot of unused materia. You have a whole bunch of materia that doesn't go used in this game and in Final Fantasy VII Original, and it takes a long time to eventually use that materia in the first game. This game has a similar problem where it wants you to constantly swap over to materia, and it would seem like, just let us swap materia mid-fight, right? You have to go into a fight dedicated to your materia. I hope that there's materia loadouts, obviously, but I think there's a much bigger thing that we can do, that they can do in the future, and it's let every character be playable. I think for like a proper expansion, the best solution is that you have to put materia on every character, that they have to give you things to put on every single character as you acquire characters. If you do that, then your materia is not going unused. You just have to like, oh, I need my enemy skill materia. Let me bring in Sid. Sid has enemy skill on him. Sid can just pop in the fight. I would honestly love it if they only have 3 characters active, just like this game. But then there's other characters in the background that you can swap to, like Final Fantasy X. And you can essentially switch places. And if all 3 characters on screen die, then you're screwed, right? You're actually kind of screwed. Final Fantasy X already does this very well, right? But it's FF10 is obviously traditional classic JRPG. But I think that'd be really cool. I think that's a way to fix the materia problem, make materia useful, make the materia on other characters make sense. Deadly dodge, assess, and parry should not be materias in the future game. For this game, it makes sense because they're introducing you to it. But for the sake of like opening up the more creative options that you can have for materia, you're pretty limited on materia creativity in this. It's still there, which is great, but having those 3 be there are kind of issues, right? I feel like they should just be moves, right? They should just be moves that every character sort of gets, instead of it taking up materia slots. Give us more opportunity to mess around with that stuff in the future. I think that'd be good. But yeah, like maybe ATB swap could be a thing in the future. Maybe that could be a materia, that could be a weapon. I just think that it's really funny to think about how in these classic games, you pretty much have your 3 characters hanging out with you and everyone else just goes and fucks off and goes to bed at calm and they do nothing, you know? I always thought that was kind of goofy. I think it would make a lot more sense if the whole party is kind of with you. So you should be able to swap to the whole party and be able to utilize your whole crew. It worked in FF10 just fine. The other thing that I really hope gets fixed in the sequel is the interactivity. There's just not a lot of interactivity in the worlds here. There's enough mini games, there's enough side things to do, and I don't have an issue with that. I really didn't have an issue with most of the side quests. The ones that definitely wear a little thin are the ones at the very beginning when you first get to Sector 7. Those aren't great, but I really like the side quests in Wall Market and Sector 5. They're not bad, they're okay. But the interactivity in the world, there's a lot to look at in these worlds. There's just not much to do. They're very pretty, but I wish there was more enemies to fight. I wish there was more reasons for me to do things in these areas. And yes, a lot of the walking and talking and ducking and sliding, all those things that sort of take up a lot of time in this game are definitely hampering of the current generation hardware it's on. I get that. A lot of that stuff is there for the sake of loading. There should just be more stuff, right? There's just too many moments like that fill out this entire game, which is fine for story elements, but that's something they can cut down on. Just more secret areas, more little things we can go find, right? More little nooks and crannies that we can get into would be nice. Those things give the element, the feel that this world is explorable, you know? So, that's a big one. The future of the game should be, in my personal opinion, the future of the game should absolutely be a quasi-open world. Open world is not the term that I think a lot of people are going to be identifying correctly, because this isn't like Grand Theft Auto open world. The best open world I can describe that I would like to see for the future is a mixture of Final Fantasy XII and Final Fantasy XV. Large zones, large sort of interconnected zones. They don't need to be open world levels of gigantic. Like, they don't need to be. And I don't really want it to be classic FF7 sort of what they did with the new Dragon Quest, which is very FF7-y. You know, you leave a place, you got an open world, you're able to walk around. I think even God of War is still sort of small and limited in many ways, which is okay. But there needs to be big zones to explore. Like, we need to go to areas of maps that have forests and caves and be able to find shit that's rare and monsters that you don't normally see and everything like that. I think that would be really nice and make it like an adventure, right? We shouldn't just be running forever doing nothing. That's kind of a big issue with like Final Fantasy, 15 sometimes. But there should definitely be the story beats, the cinematic and dramatic moments to carry you from Calm to Chocobos to Killing a Snake to Junon and the things in between, Mithril Caves and all that kind of shit. I just feel like we need some places to explore. With this game being so cramped and claustrophobic, which it is, it's very Midgar, which is cramped and claustrophobic. The next game needs to be the exact opposite. And I feel like they're gonna do that. This is the perfect place to cut the game off, to sort of take advantage of the emotions of the player. This is what I would do. Because in FF7 Original, when you leave Midgar and you realize there's a big world at your disposal now and you have to explore it, that's a big, awesome feeling of the original game. I just want that kind of exploration. I want to feel that again. There needs to be a big moment where you walk out of Calm, out of your door and leave the room of Calm with the party, and then you are like, we should go this way or we can go this way. It's up to you. And Chocobo Farms that way, it'd be pretty good if we got transportation. Shinra's shut down all the freeways. Is there gonna be freeways? Like, how do people travel in new FF7 world, right? There's so many questions of how they're gonna handle that. I definitely want it to be a more explorable, big open environment. I want hunts, I want things of the like. Oh, going back to combat. Now that the party members are bigger, now that there's more people that potentially could be in the party for the sequel, I really want skill chains, man. They already have materia in here that incentivizes using multiple skills at the same time, but I want skill chains a la Final Fantasy XI. I want dual techs a la Chrono Trigger. They're essentially the same thing. Give characters a reason to go from Braver to Star Shower to Focused Shot or, Maximum Overdrive. Like, right, give us a reason to go from one to the other, and they give you different elements or abilities. There's like explosions that happen in between that are modified in between these team attacks that give you bonus damage. So the more you synergize with your team, you're able to get more damage off. And skill chains are one of the things that's actually really fun in Final Fantasy XI. So there should be team combos, right? There should be, I just want to see the characters do more cool team up stuff with each other in battle. And I think there's definitely, feels like there's room to expand upon from this combat system because it's already really good. It's already super fun. I just want to do even more cool stuff with the characters. I really feel like team up attacks with everybody would be awesome. That'd be so cool. And a good way to expand on next generation hardware, right? Just more stuff that you can do with each other. That's the big things gameplay wise I would change. Everything else I'm really fine with. Like, the game shockingly is, you gotta really think about it, for the majority of Square Enix fare that have come out over the past few years, there's been a lot of issues with their games, like a lot of issues. And the biggest issue that you can sort of attribute to this game is lots of walking and talking and a weird ending, but that's like story related, right? So even the story stuff shouldn't even like drop points on the game. Is this a weird story deviation? You think about move interruptions? I think that could be a materia, right? I think there could be materia about you being interrupted and it being able to protect you. Yeah, I think there's a lot to expand upon gameplay-wise that I would absolutely love, and to make it even better. Even better view.